Okay. Actually, that looks pretty good. Actually, I think things are softer. Okay, I'll try one more time. Take it slow. Okay, breathing. 1 to the 42. All right, ready? Feet shoulder width, parallel, or start together. Preparation, begin. Okay, deep breathing. Inhale. You want to run through it again? You can just, we're going to come up. Yeah. All right, ready? You can stay there. No, stay there. Stay there. Let's see how it looks. Okay. Eddie, you can shift down over here. Yeah, maybe this way a little. Okay, ready? Okay, begin. Just go through nice and slow. Remember, there's a lot of yang style movements in this. Relax the shoulder, sink the elbow. Okay, deep breathing. So the grasp the sparrow's tail, the press movement, because that's the Yang style press movement. You press, it's more like a cross hand press. It's not hand on hand. It's more like you're pressing into your own forearm, or so you're not pressing your hand. It's like this. So it depends on which side. Because your left side, this is the round out. You press this side. On the right side, you press on the, so that's the inside press. Grasp the sparrow's tail is 4 movements. Ward off, right? That's your round out. Ward off. Roll back. That's diverting, regardless of which side. Press is when you connect the 2 hands, but not like this. Like we do it in the Wu style, we press with the hand like that. But in the Yang style, it's like you're crossing the wrist, or so you use the inside hand as the pressing motion. Yeah, it's really a support. Yeah. Pardon me? Grasp the sparrow's tail, like when we do brush knee, and then we strum the lute, okay, and then is that where? Yeah, no. Oh, after. Yeah. Well, no, in 42 it happens at the end. That's grasp the sparrow's tail. But in the Yang form, we have it on the left side, and then the right side when you make the 180-degree turn. Yeah. So that's the same grasp the sparrow's tail. So grasp the sparrow's tail in our form is this, right? 1, 2, 3. So in this form, it's here 1, 2, 3, 4. Press. So your hands should be, one is still the round out and the other hand is the press. Yeah. So because a posture, you define the posture by what makes it up. So in grasp the sparrow's tail, it has those 4 components. It's pretty standard. At least in Yang and Wu, it's grasp the sparrow's tail. It's pretty obvious. It's those 4 movements. So you used to hear it called Peng Li Ji An. Peng is the ward off. Li is the roll back. Ji is to press. An is to push. Okay. So while I talk about geometry of positions, triangles, hoops, and squares, and then slanted, diagonally, oblique, this is on is push. The circle is peng. Okay, so the ward off is the horizontal circle, right? Slanting down and backward is really roll back, right? Press is a push. Then when you find your triangle and if you cross the hands, then you would have your press. So we at least define the geometry of the position based on those 4 basic pieces: a triangle, a square, and then transitioning when you pull back downward, it would be a rollback or a diversion. And because we're doing 2 at a time, then it would look like that. In the Sun style Tai Chi, it would look like that. It's still the same push, slightly different in the footwork, but the idea of pushing is still a direction of your palm. So when we open the form, sink the elbow, and then push down like this, that's on. That's a push. Essentially, you're using your palm. It's just that we only see this as a palm push. This is pushing down as a palm. When you raise your hand, that's a push. That's a palm. That's a hoop. That's the sort of the peng position when you're lifting up. But then you turn it out like this, right? So that becomes the upper peng position. So when you do the slant diagonally or diagonally flying, that becomes, the fifth unit of Tai Chi's energy is splitting, separating. Splitting is when the hands separate. Pato Hosmin is a splitting type of energy. Raise the hand is a splitting type of energy. So splitting is that they're pulling apart. So fun. So in Tai Chi there's 8 of those, right? Splitting, and then the pull down, which is diverting. Then if you finish with a little tug, it becomes plucking. So that's this sort of the 6th, 7th more. And then elbow and shoulder. Jiao. This is called a jiao. So when you use your elbow, whether it's like this, or like this, or like this, or like when you push and you roll back, or you put your hand like this is sinking and fist under elbow, right? So a sinking of elbows like this, there's really a supplementary hand to the rollback and a diverting. So if you combine divert and rollback and elbow, you would have like an armbar. You know what an armbar is an armbar. And if I just borrow his hand, if I go like this is an armbar. So when you go like this, you're really attaching the elbow. And the rollback is here. And you see I turn like this because I have to expose his elbow to the joint so it becomes most susceptible to breaking it. Yeah. Because if you go this way, it's just going to fold. He's going to fold. So that's not the way. You want to break the elbows this way. So strum the lute can be that too, right? So it depends on your intention. That's what conscious intent is. When you apply a movement, you have a consciousness of motion, but because we can't really experience the feeling of it if it's not tangible, you really can't express the energy of the motion or the strength within the action. So we just go like this. But the fact that you do this and you turn and sink, the turning and sinking, he can feel it. When I turn and sink, he can feel it because the intent is here. If I'm just like this, nothing happens. When I'm like this, the hand is pressing, the elbow is pushing, and the body's turning, and the elbow is sinking. Those are directional forces. So sometimes I say movement should be compatible with the direction of your movement. So movements sink down, movements go out. So your push is going forward, what has to be compatible with the motion? Your legs and the momentum of your body going forward. If you're rolling back and you're dropping down, what's essential in the drawback and diverting is to bring the weight back and sink, because now you're directing the force downward. What's important is going from right to my left and down. So that's the direction of your diverting. Now when we go to push, we cross over like this and then we push if it was our form, or even all the way over to here till we move to single whip in the competition form. So your movements, when it builds continuity of movement, it starts to get tied into your footwork and your leg work. So that's what upper-lower coordination is. If you can't coordinate the lower with the upper, then it's still isolated hand movement, right? So isolated hand movement is not as sophisticated as upper and lower coordinated movement or coordination. So upper-lower coordination is when the hands and the knees, the elbows and the knees, the wrists and the ankles, settling and sinking. Those are all principles that you have to bring in after form. Now, when you push, your elbows can't do this. That's a fault. When you push, your elbows have to be like this, right? In. Now, what I just did was a push with the elbow out, didn't I? Grasp the sparrow tail, elbow out. But I didn't go straight. I went around. So the compatible motion with the circle, right? Because your directional force actually turned. So if I did this, it's not compatible. You can't, it's not even effective. See, so that's why your body has to recognize and understand what you're doing with the direction of your movement. So that makes it much more complementary. It works with the motion. So if you're doing the 42 movement form, you have to have a lot of that going on because you're changing directions so much. You know, the standard form, if you think about it, it's just kind of down there and back. Down there and back, right? In the 42 movement form, it goes there, it goes there, it goes there, it goes across over there, and then it turns over there. It's all over the place. So the mapping of the form is much more complicated in a sense of the footwork, how much you have to, you know, change directions really. So when you're in a, say after this movement, right, and we open, we already changed directions, and we open, then we turn, then we turn, then we do all this kind of stepping that's in the form, and we change directions. Where you pivot off of makes a difference. So the toe-heel relationship becomes pretty important. So that's something that's brought up in many of the classes when we talk about toe and heel. And so it's not just when you open the form, you have a toe and a heel position. That's just two points. The relationship is between when you shift from one leg to the other leg and then change as a footwork, as a step, because that develops your agility. Your agility footwork has to do with your whole leg, not just your feet, right? So when we go up and down, we rise and we sink. We rise and we sink. So that coordination is built over time because movement is motor skill. Doesn't matter how smart you are. If you're not wired for it, it's not going to happen. Because it's not just intelligence, it's body intelligence. So if the body doesn't recognize it, no matter how much you think about it, it doesn't happen. Why? Because we have to do it. We learn through doing it. Movements can only be learned by doing it. It's called specificity of training. Exercise physiology, you know, the science of exercise, it's all about doing the specific task. Now this is maybe sounds a little extreme because we have so many postures. But if you want to get good at basketball, you have to play basketball. You can't play football and be good at basketball. So you can't play tennis and be good at golf because you play both, right? You can't be good at one or the other. In fact, really high-level golfers or high-level tennis players can't play either one of the sports very well. Well, they can play one of them, but if you transition to the other one, you have conflicts in your action. So that's just like a basketball player can't play volleyball, even though they both jump. One hits, one shoots. They're different, you know, in action. So, you know, so when we're doing Tai Chi, it's the same idea. And that's something that we have to understand. So let's do the Wu style form, because this is something you don't do, or you can learn it. So let's just do the opening, right? We start off, preparation. So we'll go to a certain point, and you guys can keep on going, right? So I'm going to work with Arena to do the opening of the movement. So we start off to strum the lute, then we spin like this. You see? So you guys keep going. So we just spin, and I fold my elbow, and then I shift here. And then I turn like this. So right away, you're blending your movements. This is still block form, but the only thing is we're integrating, because the competition form is really single whip. And then we go to slant diagonally. So this is just slant diagonal. The different lift the hand is circular. And the turning to stalk flap swing becomes this. And then we go to this position. So that's the first section of the form. So you can keep on going, and we'll review that, huh? We'll do that so you can. So we use the mirror, right? So we're here. So we start off preparation, right? That's first movement, just like the other Tai Chi. We don't have to pivot this foot. Just step up. And then we just turn. So this is a heel turn. And at the same time, you're going to fold your elbow. And then we're going to lean. And then come like this. And then we're going to turn the body and merge the hand. Step out. And we're like this, right? Okay. So you see, it's really manipulation of skeletal structure. It doesn't become that's isolated, right? So when we prepare the movement and we step up, we sink. Then we turn. Then we shift. Then we merge. Then we press down. Then we turn. 1, 2, 3. To that corner, right? And then you hook your wrist, then turn your body back to here, move your foot to here, and then go out to single whip into that corner. So right away you go to a corner single whip, right? So your shoulders have to be forward like this. Like this. Your elbow should be here. Actually both forms are like that. Right? And then we shift this foot, and then we're like this. That's your slant diagonally. So you kind of sit back.
So we don't move with the feet.
You don't, yeah. Just pivot. Well, we move this foot, but we don't move this foot. Now we move this foot, and we go forward. And then here. And then sink the elbow. Then we just turn, and we're going to do 3 brush knee. Lean forward, brush, and push. Press down, and push. Press down, and push. So it appears to be much more linear and compact. So we go up to there, see? So brush knee is different. There's no like back.
So when it doesn't turn here, it doesn't turn at all? Or?
It turns, yeah. It still turns, but it's turning, because you're like this. It's turning here. You see, it's turning here. Yeah. So what it's doing is you punch to me, right? You punch, it's going to turn, and then it just comes right to you. You see, the one idea is when we sit back and go forward, that's for training your legs. So this is much more direct. So the Wu style application would be more like that. So it's very direct. Your hand is here, it goes right to there. It's like that, one after another. But the move, the way the body moves, is really, it's more leaning as a characteristic. Yeah, and they let the hand go longer. Here, yeah. So you're here. Yeah, it's completely different. It's different, so your body has to relearn to do this. But don't unlearn the other things, because that's good for those things. So it's just teaching you more, so you're really building new connections for new movement. Right? So this is even different. When we open the form, and we just shift this way, and then pivot this way, and then move this way. There's a great deal of preparing for the movement that is really the manipulation of the skeletal structure. This is strum the lute now. So here. Now you're in this oblique corner, and they're single weight to that corner. So that's good to get up to that point. It's just maneuvering, but the form itself has two grasses sparrow's tail already, the two of those. So it's it covers a lot. So here. And this is closer to, more vertical. Good. You got it? You have to, yeah. Cloud hands. Yeah. And palm strike face left. And then this is a high pat the horse to a punch down. Then a downward posture. Then you step up to 7 star. Retreat to ride the tiger. Pull back, and then you ride the tiger is like this, and then we do a left palm strike face, turn double lotus kick, draw bow to shoot tiger, step straight back and divert, lock and punch, and close the form. And the buzzer went. Zzz. Ready? We'll bow. Hup. Salute. Did pretty well today. Not. Yeah, yeah. No.
Structural
Yeah.
difficulty that you
No,
look
no,
at
he,
his notes.
no, he, yeah,
He's talking mind body.
yeah,
He said your mind is causing you to freeze, to oh dear, that's going to do something, and your mind is preventing your body from
uh-huh. Well,
doing what it needs to do, and then
so,
you
so,
end up
so,
with spasms.
so your mind does do it, but it's your proprioception. Your proprioception is a defensive mechanism, so that's an inhibitor. It has sensors in every joint. So what happens is, like if you move it, then, you know, your body tenses, right? That's a reaction. That's a reactive tension. But if you have an injury or you have a pinched nerve, your proprioception will kick in and stop you from doing it. So it
The
compromises.
only thing he would find is that
Yeah,
both piriformis were just showing through, but
yeah,
this one's so tight.
yeah,
He said, I think that's spasm, and that's what causes
yeah,
spasm.
yeah,
So that I
yeah. So, s- so when did you feel a spasm? Uh,
feel
Cause,
something. No, I
cause,
just felt
cause a
this
spasm,
intense pain.
yeah, cause a spasm sometimes is like a shot of electricity. It goes, zzz, and then,
This was like, but it was like someone kept turning it up. If I kept
yeah,
staring,
yeah,
it was like
yeah,
someone
yeah,
was turning
yeah,
it up until I just, I couldn't see.
yeah.
He's
Oh,
recommended this book called Back Sense,
uh-huh,
which he said is all mind body.
uh-huh,
It might be interesting to have everything you've been talking about.
yeah. Well, you know, like today,
He said, mind, cool it. Just do what you need to do
yeah.
today.
So, so,
Cool it.
so you were good.
By him.
Okay.
He said, I don't mean to be telling you that it's all in your head.
Yeah,
But I think your mind is directing it,
yeah.
not to your benefit.
So your mind should be directing it in your Tai Chi then.
Yes, right.
Don't waste your mind.
Right. I know it. Exactly.
Let's not get crazy about it. Oh, yeah.
Since I found out I do it reasonably, I try to stay out of the camera.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the camera. I mean, I don't. Don't worry about the camera, and don't worry about that. Just don't think about it. Actually, it's sort of like when you compete.
It's what?
It's it's like when you compete competition. There's a psychological barrier to that too, right? What's the barrier there though? It's different. It's the fear.
It's pride.
Oh,
Fear. Yeah.
yeah, it's fear. It's like people taking tests.
Yeah.
The-
And I said to him, I can touch my toes, but when I try to spread really far apart and go down, I get really scared I'm going to.
yeah, yeah,
He said, there's the fear.
yeah.
He
Well,
said, that's just what I'm
well,
talking about.
yeah, yeah.
You're afraid you're
Well,
going to do something, but you're not.
it's not only that you're gonna do something. You have this image in your brain that you know what pain is. So you don't want that to happen again. But the thing is, the double-legged stretch is very stressful.
Stressful.
It's stressful because you're taking your body weight. You're just gonna let your muscles go like that. But if they don't go like that, and normally most people on that limber, it's not a good thing to do. It's better to stretch one at a time. So if you're gonna do that thing, and don't do it in class, because use at home. Use a chair, a couch, and kind of spread down like that. If you want to do it, but even then, it's better to do this, and then this. Hang on to something so you can regulate how much it's going to go. Because if it goes, you could tear something, and that's even worse.
See, that's how I thought I tore the meniscus.
Yeah, yeah,
Trying to get down.
yeah,
down
yeah,
more
yeah.
when my body wasn't.
Well, because the downward posture requires some strength, so the knee that's bending is not letting you sink. It's just bending. So if you go,
Huh.
so if you go to here,
Difference between bending
and it's just bending. So now it's all tense.
Yeah.
There's no way you can go down. So when you're holding, you're like this, and then you let yourself go, then you're not really bending, you're folding. And then the strength goes into the leg, but it's not really holding you. The holding strength is a resistance. So the holding strength, and you fight that, will tear your meniscus.
But then,
When you go down like that, it's incremental holding. Just bending is sort of, that's it. That's where I want you to be. Doesn't go any further. So that's like not letting go.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Because there's only certain positions that your joint can be in that will be compromised if you have tension there.
Is it?
So it's like this, if your shoulder's tense and doesn't want to go up, you can't let it go. You have to release it. So that's the same thing that happens here and there. But but so it's sort of trial and error, experimenting what your body do. So that's why if you use the chair or you use something to go through that process, and then eventually you build the strength and you build the flexibility and you build that knowing. But you know,
you're also saying that age doesn't have a lot to do with it. Because my mental thing has been, well, you're just getting too old.
no. Age has something to do with it depending on how flexible you are at the age you are. Because there's habits and there's, you know, and the habits are, say, 60, 70 years of not going there. Your body's not going to go there. So it is age related in that sense. But if you were flexible from, say, 30s on or 40s on, then sustaining that flexibility is different from trying to get, yeah. Yeah. So when I say, what I mean, really, maybe it's misinterpreted, that you can do it, try doing it at any age, but you have to give it time. So the problem with people that are, yeah, and so people that are, well, you've been doing this 20 years, but people that have been, are older, you know, will see that and they'll say, well, she's my age, how come she can do it? I can do it too, but that's not true because that person is new at it. But you're going to see people that did Tai Chi since they were in their 50s or 40s, and they're doing it, but they're 90. But they've been doing it for 50 years. Okay. All right. I'm glad to see you. I was a little concerned. I was going to say, okay, here's Dr. Lu's number.
You were going to say what?
I was going to say, here's Dr. Lu's number. Okay, we'll line up and do a few. So the acronym for Ong Doc is OD. So don't OD on this. Okay, ready? Okay, ready? Come on, you want to do a few of those? Oh, jeez, look at Stephen. Came early. It's just amazing.